1950, Jacksonville, Florida. At around 9 p.m., two people, a man and a woman, were walking home, taking a shortcut through a neighborhood park, when the female looked up and noticed something unusual in the night sky. Even though it was dark and numerous stars could be seen in the night sky, directly above where they were walking, it was just a black circle, no stars. All around the edges of the black circle, stars were visible, but inside the circle, it was just dark. It was as if something black and circular was directly over them. The witness pointed this anomaly out to her male companion, who just shrugged it off. In front of their apartment was a park bench. The female then asked if they could sit on the bench for a while before heading inside. She wanted to make out what she was seeing. Just as they were about to sit, the female then noticed and pointed out something to her male companion. There, about a half a block away, sat a silver-gray, disc-like object. According to the witness, the object just seemed to appear. 1 second it wasn't there, and the next it was. They were able to make out that it looked smaller than a school bus. It had a broad, shallow dome on top, but no discernible windows or lights. They stared at it for a few minutes, trying to make sense out of what they were looking at. Was it a new type of plane, they wondered? Just then, something moved on the left side of the object. A type of awning slowly began lifting from its left side. This frightened them, and they began backing away in the direction of their apartment, keeping their eye on the object as they walked. This is when they noticed 3 figures, dressed in what looked like jumpsuits, moving towards them. They rushed inside their apartment, but these figures were on them within seconds. 2 stood by the doorway of the apartment, while a third moved into the living room area where they were standing. The whole thing happened very quickly, but the witness recalled that the being walked right past where she was standing and up to where her male companion was. He stared at her companion face to face. This being was short, bald, with a flat-faced profile. She thought he was wearing some type of dark glasses, but she did not notice any stems on the lenses. She realized later that these black things she mistook for glasses might have, in fact, been the creature's eyes. As she stared at this being, she heard a voice in her head saying, "We did not come for you this time. You were able to see us because of the attachments." The voice then added, "You will not remember this." It repeated this over and over, "You will not remember this." That was her and her companion's last conscious memory of that evening. They awoke in the apartment many hours later, with only vague memories of what happened the previous evening. It would take many years before the witness would begin to remember. Reynoldsburg, Ohio. A man, his girlfriend, and his cousin decided to get some beer and hang out at a local cemetery. The Glen Rest Cemetery in Reynoldsburg was partially owned by his girlfriend's parents, and so the witness recalled that they often snuck back there at night to drink. It was just something they did to pass time. Though all that changed on the night of June 26, 1996, when they were witness to something terrifying. This case can be found in the files of the Mutual UFO Network. We were hanging out on the bridge at the pond in the middle of the cemetery. The bridge is made of stone, and my girlfriend was laying on the stone ledge. The ledge is big enough to lay on comfortably without falling. We were all looking up at the sky talking, when we saw an orb fly across the sky. The witness described the orb as mostly red and orange in color, but with traces of yellow, blue, and green colors as well. The object was silent and seemed to be descending towards the ground, coming to rest behind some trees about 500 yards away. My cousin and I became very excited and jumped up and started walking in the direction we thought it might have landed. I told my cousin to wait, and I turned around to get my girlfriend to come with us. I grabbed her by the hand and helped her up. I turned towards my cousin to lead her in his direction when she started saying, "Oh my God, oh my God." I turned to look at her, and it was like her whole body gave out and she fell to the ground and pointed in the opposite direction of where we thought the orb landed. I looked where she was pointing and saw a man walk out of the darkness. He looked like a human, but I couldn't see any details of his face. He was dressed in black dress pants and a long-sleeved white shirt. Then two men dressed the same stepped out of the darkness behind him. They were coming out of the darkness in a V, like geese would fly. Then two more men behind them. The girlfriend began screaming for them to run. They alerted the cousin, who ran back to them. It was then he also became aware of the fact that they were not alone in the cemetery. The girlfriend and the witness began running towards the girlfriend's house, which was located near the front of the cemetery. The witness looked back to see that his cousin was not following them. He had not moved from where he was standing. I remember thinking, "What is he doing? What is going to happen to him?" the man recalled. About a third of the way running to her house, her foot sunk in the mud and she fell. I turned and picked her up and kept running with her in my arms. I remember thinking, how am I running holding her for so long? But at the same time, I don't remember running at all. Then we were in her driveway. My cousin was there. We all jumped into his truck and drove off. The next thing I remember, it was daylight. July 1976. A man and a woman were driving between Lincoln and Auburn, California, on a quiet country road sometime after midnight. The road was hilly, and the female who was driving the car remembered that they had just crested a hill and were making their way down when she spotted a bright, bluish-white light shining down on the road about 200 yards in front of them. It was coming from a point over a large group of scrub oak trees. The trees came to a point over the road, creating a canopy effect over the road. What was strange is there were no streetlights, and none of the light shining down on the road was being blocked out by the trees. As they approached the light, the witness's car began to lose power. Then the headlights went out. As we were approaching the light, I was flashing my bright lights on and off before the car shut down. As soon as the car rolled to a stop, I opened the door to step out. The light disappeared, while leaves were floating down below where the light had been falling onto the road in front of us. Sometime after the light went out, the witness got back into her car and tried it again. The car started up, and she eventually was able to drive her male companion to his home and drop him off. She didn't think much of it until about 4 days later, when she took her two cats for a scheduled vet visit, which was about 3 miles out of town. She recalled that the vet, who was a family friend, arrived back from a call. When he was upset and excited, he tended to stutter, and she recognized right away that he was stuttering. He eventually told her what had happened and what he had seen. He had been called out to a ranch to look at a dead cow. He explained to me and my mom that the cow had been cut up in a very strange way, with a missing eyeball, udder, and entrails. Its hindquarters had been drilled or bored out. He also said there were no flies, no bugs, and no predator bite marks anywhere on the cow. He revealed the exact location where the cow was found, and it was then that it dawned on the witness that the cow was only 50 yards from the very spot where she and her friend had seen the lights over the trees. Talking to her male companion later, she was told another interesting detail she had not realized. Apparently, when she had dropped her friend off that night, he was lectured by his mother about staying out so late, as it was 4 a.m. when he got home. This was something neither he nor the witness could understand. Both were certain they had only been driving around out in the country for an hour and a half at most. After dropping him off that night, I was really tired, and I just went home to bed and didn't pay any attention to the time. He claims we lost 3 hours. To this day, I have no idea what we saw or what happened. He refuses to talk about it with me or anyone else. I have seen other lights and strange things over the years, but this situation has always made me scratch my head, and I wonder what really happened that night to us and that poor cow. Nothing was ever said to the police or to the news media regarding the mutilated cow or the lights we saw.